Good evening. This is Vaishu reporting live from the International Treaty Newsroom, where tonight's top story is causing a splash, literally. State Aramika and State Botuna are in a full-on, no-holds-barred international treaty fight about a dam. Yes, a dam. Some people fight over borders. These two are fighting over water and some paperwork. Aramika says Botuna broke the rules, while Botuna says the rules are ancient history. Let's hear from the countries themselves before this turns into a dam disaster. Listen, we didn't just wake up and decided to suspend the treaty. Botuna completely ignored the environmental safeguards, not the extra optional rules, the essential ones, the core of the deal, like the main ingredient in a cake. That's a material breach under Article 60 of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties. And guess what? We followed the proper steps. We gave them notice. We tried to solve it. They ghosted us. So, we suspended the treaty lawfully. You break the rules, you break the treaty. It's really not that deep. Okay, first of all, the rules are prehistoric. The river isn't even the same river anymore. Climate change has flipped the whole ecosystem. Article 62 of the VCLT, Rebus Sic Stantibus. The world has changed. Treaties can change too. We're not playing by the same weather forecast anymore. And let's not forget, the right to clean water is becoming a jus cogens norm. Even the United Nations say so. When human rights walk into the room, your old treaty, it has to walk out. So, if you think we're breaking the rules, we think you're breaking common sense. Oof, it's getting heated. I need a life jacket. On one side, rules, procedures, legal steps. On the other, climate change, clean water, and vibes. Let's call in our treaty law analyst to actually make sense of this damn drama. So, let's break this down. The legal question is, can State Aramika legally suspend the treaty under the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties? Or does the state Botuna have a valid defense based on climate change and human rights? This case shows two big tensions in international law. Treaty stability, where countries must follow what they've signed, but environmental and human rights norms are evolving. Aramika claims Botuna's failure to follow environmental safeguards is a material breach under the VCLT. Botuna argues climate change makes the treaty outdated, using rebus sic stantibus under Article 62 of the VCLT. They also claim the treaty violates a new jus cogens norm, the right to clean water. I'll explain the legal principles, assess both sides, and suggest how treaty law can evolve. Let's see the legal principles. First, pacta sunt servanda means treaty must be performed in good faith. It's in Article 26 of the VCLT. It's what keeps international law predictable, but the VCLT allows suspensions in special cases like material breach, fundamental change of circumstances, conflict with jus cogens. Binder says that with climate change, strict treaty enforcement might need to adapt to new realities. Next, material breach. Article 60 VCLT says material breach happens when a country seriously violates something essential to the treaty's purpose. Aramika says Botuna's environmental failure was essential, but Aramika also needed to prove the breach was essential, follow VCLT procedures like giving notice and trying to resolve the issues. Satir says suspension is sometimes used to encourage cooperation, not necessarily to end the treaty forever. Rebus Six Tantibus. Article 62 of the VCLT says a treaty can be suspended if there's been a fundamental, unforeseen change. The change radically alters the treaty obligations. Botuna argues that climate change has transformed the river ecosystem. In Gapchikovo Nagimaros 1997, the International Court of Justice said this defense should be used carefully. Climate change is now often considered foreseeable. Watson and Lampiri say the speed of climate change may require more flexibility in treaty law. Now, let's see jus cogens under Article 53 and 64 of the VCLT. Botuna also says the treaty now violates a jus cogens norms, the right to clean water. Article 53 and 64 of the VCLT says treaties that conflict with peremptory norms are automatically void. Both cites the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 64/292, but UN resolutions are not legally binding. To become jus cogens, Botuna needs widespread state practice, opinio juris. Countries must see it as a legal duty. Wyatt and Wanhame believe environmental protections may eventually evolve into peremptory norms. Now, let's discuss the issues. Aramika suspension is legally stronger today. They followed the Vienna Convention steps and focused on a serious environmental breach. In Nicaragua and United States 1986, the ICJ said that suspending a treaty needs solid evidence. Satir adds that suspension can actually push countries back to cooperation, while Botuna's defense is creative but faces problems. Rebus Six Tantibus. Climate change is now widely foreseeable, which weakens the argument. Watson and Lampiri suggest that climate change might still qualify as an unforeseen radical shift. For jus cogens, the United Nations General Assembly Resolution 64/292 helps Botuna morally, but it's not binding. Jus cogens status needs solid global practice and legal recognition. In DRC and Uganda case, the ICJ was cautious about applying jus cogens argument. Wyatt and Wanhame says we're moving towards stronger environmental norms, but we are not there yet. So, can environmental norms become jus cogens? Scholars like Shelton, Sands, Lampiri, and Wanhame says that in the future, environmental protections might become jus cogens norms. The right to clean water could be the first one to reach this status. Botuna's argument may not win today, but it shows where international law could be heading. This case shows the tension inside the VCLT. First, the Pacta Sunt Servanda gives stability, and Article 60, 62, and 64 offers flexibility for deeper values like justice, human dignity, and the environment. Binder says that rigid treaty rules might actually harm international cooperation when environmental problems are urgent. The big question, is VCLT flexible enough for a climate-driven world? So, what are the recommendations? Here's what I recommend. First, dynamic treaty designs, where add flexible review clauses in the future treaties. Next, ILC engagement. The International Law Commission should explore if environmental rights can evolve into jus cogens. Next, specialized environmental tribunals, where create expert courts to handle climate disputes. And lastly, VCLT interpretation reform. Push for more flexible treaty interpretation, especially for Articles 60 to 64 of the VCLT. So, where does this leave us? Aramika's suspension is stronger under current international law, while Botuna's defense are creative and future-focused, but legally unsettled. The real challenge for international law is finding the balance on how do we keep treaties reliable and how do we stay flexible enough to handle climate change and human rights. This case shows that the Vienna Convention may need to evolve. As the climate crisis grows, international law must adapt, and that will define the next era of global cooperation. That's all from me. Thank you.